I'm here today with Roger Ballentine, President of Green Strategies. What is ESG and why has it become so important?
It is considerations outside of what have perhaps traditionally been considered core business and investing issues. And those considerations, be it the environment, being social, and how companies deal with it, actually matters to how successful that company is going to be. And frankly, as an investor, whether or not you want to invest in that company. So it's just this integration of factors and considerations that are important in society and important to the planet, that therefore they must be of relevance to business and investors.
Can you tell us what you're seeing in the market with respect to trends and areas of focus with respect to ESG?
One of the most direct effects I've seen on companies is when their investors start asking them questions about, tell us your ESG policy, tell us your climate policy, tell us what you're doing on diversity. And the more those questions are being asked, the more you're going to say, hey, are we doing enough? Particularly millennials are already they're already mainstream actors in our economy. So companies that are thinking strategically, have to have those kind of stakeholders in mind. Well, who are they and what do they care about? What's pretty clear, and in fact, there's tons of polling and data to show this, is that younger generations hold a lot of these issues of higher priority than older generations. So when they care about these issues, that matters to companies because why? They're your employees. They're your customers. They're your consumers you need to sell to. Increasingly, they're the people on the other side of your business-to-business relationships. So those expectations of a growing segment of the population, any company knows they have to kind of be responsive to that and see where those stakeholders are going because they want to be there.
Thanks, Roger. You mentioned millennials and older Gen Zs, and our cognition data shows that those audience segments are on the receiving end of trillions of dollars of inheritance from grandparents and parents. They have a tremendous amount of annual spending power. They have an inherent ethic of DNA, and they do care about corporate sustainability and ESG. For those audience segments, what are kind of the primary ESG elements that they should be looking for when either purchasing products from companies or making investment decisions?
Information about what companies are doing around climate change, what their strategies are, what their emissions footprints are. Most of that is available. Smart companies that are doing well are kind of going to they're pushing that information out. So you as the consumer are trying to make these choices have access to that information because they understand that ESG and climate in particular, if they outperform their competitors, that is a source of competitive advantage.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's in the pipeline and coming down the pike with respect to disclosure requirements and what consumers should be looking for with respect to that enhanced accountability and transparency?
Reporting practices that were once very niche with very few companies doing. More and more companies are doing it to the extent now that most of the big companies around the world are voluntarily providing lots of additional information. And now, particularly for climate, SEC steps in and just lights a match to what was already, a smoldering fire. So, over the next 3 years, depending on when the rule gets, pretty much every public company in America is going to have to start really opening the kimono around what are you doing about climate change? What are your emissions? Tell us your strategy such that consumers will have additional information.
How can the average consumer decipher between greenwashing and authentic ESG and corporate sustainability initiatives?
Yeah, it's hard. It really is because it can get quite technical in an evolving space like this, which is really new and different. There will be information which is hard to decipher what it really means. A company may tell me they're doing something. Do I know that that's really a good thing or not a good thing? There's going to be some challenges. But one thing you can count on is a broad array of stakeholders who will be constantly kind of pressuring, monitoring, deciphering, and driving a more consistent practice on behalf of companies towards things that actually have impact. But the theory behind all this is that more information is better than less information.
Where should consumers go to learn more and get more information about ESG to educate themselves about what's happening and what they should be looking for?
You want to align your work, your daily life, and your investments with your values to the best extent you can. If you're kind of deciding between a couple of companies, start with their sustainability reports. They all have them. But as you read and compare, you can start to get a sense of, well, how real is this? Wow, that really does sound like they're doing more than somebody else. It's a good piece of information, not unbiased, but a good piece of information. Then there are ratings agencies that kind of evaluate companies on these different metrics and generally share that information. They're not getting it exactly right in terms of how they're doing that, but it's getting better. It'll still allow you to do comparisons, which at the end of the day is what matters, because that competitive nature of companies now competing to do better on ESG issues, that's a good thing. We want more of that because it happens to be the way and the pathway to doing better as a business.
All right, any other last comments or advice or tips for our audience?
So you have the power, vote, work, invest your values. It'll be good for you, it'll be good for the world.